Welcome to IELTS CELPIP MasterPrep, your trusted source for real exam-based practice tests. Every test you see here is inspired by current exam trends, and each one comes with full model solutions to help you master every section. Here's our daily schedule. IELTS tests drop every morning at 7:30 a.m. Eastern, and CLP tests every evening at 5:30 p.m. Eastern. No matter which exam you're preparing for, we've got you covered every single day. Are you ready for today's test? Give it your best shot and comment your score. The top 5 scorers will be featured in our monthly Achievers newsletter and awards. Want your name included? Let's begin.
What advice would you give your coworker about the best ways to improve their English quickly in Canada? Begin speaking now.
Hi, welcome to Canada. I think there are some good ways to improve your English quickly. First, you should try to speak English every day. You can talk to people at work or at the grocery store. Also, I suggest joining a free English class. Many libraries and community centers in Canada offer these programs. Another good idea is to watch Canadian TV shows or listen to podcasts. This will help you understand how people really talk here. Finally, try to make some Canadian friends so you can practice in a relaxed way. Good luck with everything.
Hey, congratulations on your move to Canada. I'd love to share some suggestions that I think will really help you improve your English. To begin with, I'd strongly recommend enrolling in a free language program. Organizations like Link offer government-funded classes specifically designed for newcomers, and they're available in most Canadian cities. Beyond that, try to immerse yourself in English outside the classroom. For instance, you could volunteer at a local community center or join a recreational sports league where you'll naturally interact with English speakers. Additionally, consuming Canadian media such as CBC Radio or popular podcasts can sharpen your listening skills considerably. The key is consistency, so make English a part of your daily routine, rather than something you only practice occasionally.
Welcome to Canada. I completely understand the urgency of wanting to improve your English, and fortunately, there are numerous effective strategies available to you here. First and foremost, I'd encourage you to take advantage of federally funded programs like Link, which not only provide structured English instruction but also introduce you to Canadian culture and workplace norms. Equally important is creating an immersive environment for yourself outside the classroom. This might involve volunteering with a neighborhood organization, attending community events, or even joining a book club at your local library. What many newcomers overlook, however, is the value of passive learning through media. Regularly listening to Canadian broadcasts, reading local newspapers, and engaging with podcasts can dramatically accelerate your comprehension. Ultimately, the most successful language learners are those who integrate English into every facet of their daily lives rather than treating it as a separate academic pursuit.
How would you try to persuade your resistant coworker to consider other methods for improving their English beyond just textbooks? Begin speaking now.
I understand you like studying grammar books, and that is not a bad thing. But I think you also need to practice speaking with other people. Textbooks can teach you rules, but real conversations are different. Sometimes people use slang or speak very fast. If you only read books, you might have trouble understanding your co-workers or neighbors. Why don't you try coming to the library program with me just one time? You don't have to go every week. I think if you try it once, you will see that it really helps. Please think about it.
I really respect your dedication to studying grammar, and I agree that it's an important foundation. However, I have to be honest with you, relying solely on textbooks may not prepare you for real-world communication in Canada. Think about it this way: when you go to a job interview or visit your doctor, they won't speak like a textbook. Canadian English includes idioms, casual expressions, and cultural references that you simply can't learn from a book alone. I'm not asking you to abandon your study method entirely. Rather, I'm suggesting you complement it with some practical experience. What if we attended a free conversation circle together at the community center this Saturday? That way, you'd have a supportive environment to try things out, and I'd be right there with you. I genuinely believe you'd notice a difference within weeks.
I genuinely admire your commitment to studying grammar. It demonstrates real discipline, and having a solid grammatical foundation is undeniably valuable. That said, I'd encourage you to consider the distinction between knowing a language and being able to use it fluently in daily life. Linguistic research consistently shows that communicative competence develops primarily through meaningful interaction, not through memorizing rules in isolation. In a Canadian context, this is particularly relevant because everyday English here is filled with colloquialisms, regional expressions, and cultural subtleties that textbooks rarely capture. I completely understand that stepping outside your comfort zone feels daunting, and I would never suggest abandoning an approach that gives you confidence. What I'm proposing, however, is a blended strategy: continue your textbook study while gradually incorporating conversational practice. Perhaps we could start small. I could introduce you to a weekly conversation circle at our neighborhood library where the atmosphere is incredibly welcoming and low pressure. Many participants are newcomers themselves, so you certainly wouldn't be alone. I truly believe that combining both approaches would accelerate your progress far more than either method could on its own.
Describe what you see in this neighborhood street market scene in as much detail as possible. Begin speaking now.
In this picture, I can see a busy street market on a nice sunny day. There are many vendors selling different things. On the left side, there is a woman selling fresh fruits and vegetables. Her table has red tomatoes, green lettuce, and some berries. Next to her, a man is selling bread and pastries. In the middle of the street, there are many shoppers walking around and looking at the products. Some people are carrying bags. On the right side, I can see a food truck where people are waiting in line. There are also some children playing near their parents.
This picture captures a lively neighborhood street market on what appears to be a beautiful sunny morning. The street is lined with colorful vendor stalls on both sides, each one decorated with bright canopies and hand-painted signs. On the left, a friendly-looking vendor is arranging baskets overflowing with fresh seasonal produce, including strawberries, corn, and bunches of leafy greens. Beside that stall, an artisan baker is displaying golden loaves of bread and flaky croissants on a rustic wooden table. The center of the scene is bustling with a diverse crowd of shoppers. Some are carefully examining the products while others are chatting with the vendors. A young couple in the foreground is sampling something from a small cup, likely maple syrup or local honey. Over on the right, a popular food truck has drawn a lengthy queue of hungry customers. Nearby, two children are laughing and chasing each other around their parents.
This vibrant scene depicts a thriving neighborhood street market bathed in warm morning sunlight, capturing the unmistakable energy of a Canadian community gathering. The entire street has been transformed into a bustling marketplace, with an array of vendor stalls stretching into the distance beneath a canopy of colorful awnings and hand-lettered signage. In the foreground on the left, a produce vendor is meticulously arranging an impressive display of locally grown fruits and vegetables, plump strawberries, freshly picked sweet corn, and fragrant bunches of herbs, creating an almost painterly arrangement of natural colors. Adjacent to her, an artisan baker presides over a rustic wooden table laden with golden sourdough loaves and delicate pastries that seem to be attracting considerable attention. The central thoroughfare teems with a wonderfully diverse crowd of shoppers representing various ages and backgrounds. A young couple in the foreground appears to be savoring a sample, perhaps locally produced maple syrup, while an elderly gentleman nearby is engaged in what looks like a spirited negotiation with a vendor. To the right, a gleaming food truck has generated an enthusiastic queue, and the aroma of grilled food almost seems palpable. Children weave playfully through the crowd, adding an infectious sense of joy to an already captivating community scene.
What do you predict will happen to fuel stations and mechanic shops in Canada as electric vehicles become more common, and why? Begin speaking now.
I think electric vehicles will change things a lot in Canada. First, I predict that many gas stations will close because fewer people will need gasoline. Some gas stations might add electric chargers so they can stay open. Also, I think mechanics will need to learn new skills. Electric cars are very different from regular cars, so mechanics will have to study new technology. However, I don't think gas stations will disappear completely because some people will still drive gas cars for a long time, especially in rural areas. Overall, I believe this change will happen slowly over the next 10 years.
I believe the rise of electric vehicles will fundamentally reshape both the fuel station and automotive repair industries in Canada over the coming decade. Regarding gas stations, I predict that a significant number will be forced to either adapt or close permanently. Those located along major highways will likely survive by installing fast-charging stations alongside their existing fuel pumps, effectively serving both types of vehicles during the transition period. Urban gas stations, on the other hand, may struggle considerably as city dwellers increasingly charge their vehicles at home or at workplace charging stations. As for mechanics, I anticipate a major shift in required expertise. Traditional skills like engine repair and oil changes will gradually become less relevant, while knowledge of battery systems, electric motors, and specialized software diagnostics will be in high demand. Community colleges across Canada will probably expand their programs to address this skills gap. That said, the transition won't happen overnight, particularly in remote and northern communities where charging infrastructure remains limited.
The proliferation of electric vehicles across Canada is poised to trigger a profound transformation in both the fuel retail and automotive service sectors, though I believe this shift will unfold unevenly across different regions and demographics. With respect to fuel stations, I predict we'll witness a dramatic consolidation over the next decade. Many urban and suburban stations will find their traditional business model increasingly untenable as home and workplace charging becomes the norm. The more forward-thinking operators will pivot toward becoming comprehensive energy hubs, offering rapid charging alongside convenience retail, coffee shops, and lounge spaces designed to accommodate the longer refueling times associated with electric vehicles. Highway corridor stations, conversely, will likely remain viable by positioning themselves as essential stops for long-distance travelers. The automotive repair industry faces an equally significant disruption. Electric vehicles contain substantially fewer moving parts than combustion engines, which means the bread-and-butter services that sustain most independent mechanics, oil changes, transmission repairs, exhaust system work, will steadily diminish. I anticipate that successful shops will invest heavily in retraining their technicians in battery diagnostics, electric drivetrain maintenance, and advanced software systems. Nevertheless, it would be premature to predict the complete disappearance of traditional services, as combustion vehicles will persist for years, particularly in Canada's rural and northern communities where charging infrastructure development continues to lag behind metropolitan areas.
Compare the two job offers and persuade your sister which one she should accept. Begin speaking now.
I think you should take the bank job in Toronto. It pays well and has good benefits like a pension and dental coverage. Big banks in Canada are very stable, so you won't worry about losing your job. The startup sounds exciting, but small companies can be risky. Also, working in an office helps you meet people and learn faster. Toronto has lots of things to do after work too. The remote job might feel lonely after a while. I really believe the bank position is the smarter choice for your future career.
Both offers have their strengths, but I'd strongly encourage you to accept the bank position in Toronto. First, established financial institutions in Canada offer excellent benefits, including health coverage, retirement plans, and professional development programs. The startup role is appealing because of the remote flexibility, but startups can be unpredictable, and job security matters early in your career. Second, working in person at a major bank gives you valuable networking opportunities that a remote position simply cannot match. You'll build relationships with senior professionals who can mentor you. Toronto's vibrant job market also means future opportunities will be within reach. Trust me, the bank role sets a stronger foundation.
I understand both offers are tempting, but after carefully weighing the pros and cons, I'd wholeheartedly recommend the marketing coordinator role at the bank in Toronto. To begin with, Canada's major financial institutions are renowned for their comprehensive compensation packages, which typically include extended health benefits, defined benefit pensions, and generous tuition reimbursement programs, advantages a startup simply cannot guarantee. Furthermore, being physically present in a corporate environment accelerates professional growth through mentorship and cross-departmental collaboration, which is invaluable at this stage of your career. While the remote content strategist position offers flexibility, the tech startup landscape can be volatile, and working in isolation may limit your ability to develop leadership skills. Additionally, establishing yourself in Toronto's competitive market opens doors to countless future opportunities. I genuinely believe the bank role provides the stability, growth potential, and long-term security you deserve.
What would you do and say to deal with this difficult situation? Begin speaking now.
I would talk to Marcus privately after the meeting. I'd say, Marcus, I need to discuss something important. The proposal you presented today was my work, and I'm upset that you didn't mention my name. I spent many hours on that project, and it's not fair to take credit for it. I'd like us to speak with our manager together so we can explain who did the work. If this happens again, I'll have to report it to Human Resources. I hope we can solve this respectfully.
First, I would remain calm and avoid confronting Marcus publicly, as that could create unnecessary tension in the office. Instead, I'd request a private conversation and say, "Marcus, I want to address something that's been bothering me. The proposal you presented during today's meeting was entirely my work, and I was genuinely disappointed that you took full credit without acknowledging my contribution. I value our professional relationship, but this situation is unacceptable. I'd appreciate it if we could schedule a meeting with our manager to clarify everyone's roles in this project. Going forward, I expect proper recognition for my contributions. I believe in handling this transparently, and I hope we can establish better communication to prevent misunderstandings like this in the future."
In this situation, I would take a strategic and composed approach. Before speaking with Marcus, I'd gather all relevant documentation, emails, drafts, and version histories to substantiate my contribution. Then, I'd arrange a private meeting and say, "Marcus, I'd like to have an honest conversation about what happened during today's presentation. As you're aware, that proposal was the product of my independent research and effort. I was quite taken aback when it was presented under your name without any acknowledgement of my involvement. I'm not interested in creating conflict, but I do believe in professional integrity and fair attribution. I'd like us to approach our manager together to set the record straight, and I think it would be beneficial for the team to establish clearer protocols around crediting individual contributions. I genuinely want us to maintain a positive working relationship, but I also need to ensure that my professional reputation is accurately represented. Let's work together to resolve this constructively and make sure it doesn't happen again."
Do you believe post-secondary education in Canada should be free? What is your opinion and why? Begin speaking now.
In my opinion, post-secondary education in Canada should be free. Many young Canadians graduate with huge student loans, and this causes a lot of stress. If education were free, more people could attend university or college without worrying about money. This would help the economy because we'd have more skilled workers. Some people say it's too expensive for the government, but I think investing in education saves money in the long run. Countries like Germany already offer free university. Canada should do the same to give everyone an equal chance to succeed.
I firmly believe that post-secondary education in Canada should be free for citizens and permanent residents. The current system creates significant financial barriers that disproportionately affect lower-income families. Many students graduate carrying tens of thousands of dollars in debt, which delays major life milestones such as homeownership and starting families. By eliminating tuition fees, Canada would promote greater social equality and ensure that talent, rather than wealth, determines who accesses higher education. Moreover, a more educated population drives innovation, strengthens the economy, and enhances Canada's global competitiveness. Critics argue that taxpayers shouldn't bear this burden, but I'd counter that the long-term economic returns, through higher tax revenues from better-paying jobs, would more than offset the initial investment. Education is a public good, and treating it as such aligns with Canadian values of inclusivity and fairness.
I am a strong proponent of making post-secondary education entirely free for Canadian citizens and permanent residents, and I believe this policy would yield transformative benefits for our society. Fundamentally, the current tuition-based model perpetuates socioeconomic inequality by restricting access to higher education based on financial means rather than academic merit or potential. Statistics consistently demonstrate that graduates from lower-income backgrounds carry disproportionately higher debt loads, which creates a cascading effect on their long-term financial well-being, delaying homeownership, retirement savings, and family planning. From an economic perspective, universal access to post-secondary education would cultivate a more highly skilled workforce, fostering innovation and enhancing Canada's competitiveness on the global stage. While opponents raise legitimate concerns about the fiscal implications, I would argue that the increased tax revenue generated by higher-earning graduates, combined with reduced spending on social assistance programs, would substantially offset the costs. Several Nordic countries have successfully implemented similar models with remarkable outcomes. Ultimately, education represents an investment in our collective future, and guaranteeing equitable access reflects the fundamental Canadian principles of fairness and opportunity for all.
Describe what is happening in this unusual situation. What do you see, hear, and how are people reacting? Begin speaking now.
I'm walking down my street on a Saturday morning when I see something very surprising. There's a big film crew with cameras and lights, and I notice Ryan Reynolds standing right in front of the corner store. He's talking to my neighbor Mrs. Chen, and she looks completely shocked. People are coming out of their houses to see what's happening. Children are running towards him asking for photos. The whole street feels exciting and noisy. Everyone is smiling and laughing. It's the most unusual thing that has ever happened in our quiet little town.
As I'm strolling through my neighborhood this Saturday morning, I come across the most extraordinary scene. A full production crew has set up right on Maple Street. There are enormous cameras, lighting rigs, and cables running across the sidewalk. To my absolute astonishment, I spot Ryan Reynolds chatting casually with Mr. Patel from the grocery store while cameras roll. The entire street has come alive with excitement. Neighbors who are normally reserved are rushing out in their pajamas, clutching their phones to snap photos. Children are squealing with delight, and a small crowd is forming near the community mailboxes. I overhear someone saying they're filming a documentary about small-town Canadian life. The atmosphere is electric. Our typically peaceful neighborhood has been completely transformed into a bustling film set, and everyone seems thrilled by this unexpected visit.
What I'm witnessing on my quiet residential street this Saturday morning is nothing short of surreal. As I round the corner past the old maple trees, I'm greeted by an elaborate film production that has completely overtaken our modest neighborhood. Towering light stands, professional-grade cameras, and a web of thick cables have transformed the familiar sidewalks into what resembles a Hollywood set. At the center of it all stands Ryan Reynolds, animatedly chatting with the elderly couple who run the bakery on the corner, while a boom microphone hovers overhead capturing every word. The reactions around me are wonderfully diverse. My next-door neighbor has frozen mid-gardening with her mouth agape, teenagers are frantically live-streaming the spectacle on their phones, and a group of children have abandoned their bicycles in the middle of the road to inch closer for a better view. The air is filled with a palpable buzz of excitement, blending laughter, whispered disbelief, and the occasional starstruck shriek. Even our neighborhood dogs seem to sense something extraordinary is unfolding, barking enthusiastically at the commotion. It's a scene none of us ever imagined witnessing in our unassuming little Canadian town, and the sheer spontaneity of it makes the moment all the more magical.
Before you go, don't forget to like this video, share it with other test takers, and subscribe so you never miss your daily IELTS and CELPIP tests. Drop your score in the comments. Your name could be featured in our monthly Achievers newsletter. Stay consistent, stay focused, and keep leveling up with MasterPrep.